A company reaches a level of maturity when sales are predictable and repeatable. At that point, the company is in control of their growth and its future. To do that requires an understanding of your customers and how they buy. I call this the buyer's journey. Hi, my name is John Cipher, and I've owned companies all my working life, and I've coached hundreds of business owners in the U.S. and Europe. One thing I've learned is that there are predictable stages of all sales across all companies. Understanding these stages is the key to systemizing your sales process so you can be in control of your company's future. Strap in and let's get started. We'll start by defining what sales is. Sales is the process through which somebody who could be a customer becomes a customer. Let's start with the back of that sentence. When does someone become a customer? When is a sale made? You'd be surprised how often different people in the same company don't agree on when a sale is made. One person may say, the sale's made when I get an email that says okay. Another one says, it's not a sale till the purchase order comes or the contract is signed. Somebody else says the payment has to come through. It's a little clearer with online sales or in-person retail purchases, but not always. So the first thing to do is define a sale. What does that mean for your company? This event is the output of the sales system, and it happens on a specific date at a specific time. It's important to define this for two reasons. We need to track changes in our system so that we can improve it. And if we don't measure each sale from the same day, we can't do that. Second, the sales system ends with a handoff to another system. Maybe it's invoicing or fulfillment or customer support. If we don't have a definite output defined, we don't know when this system ends and the next one begins. So a sales happens when somebody becomes a customer. But who becomes that customer? It's someone who could be a customer. Nobody sells to everyone. No company does. There are only certain people who could become your customers, and it's important to know who they are. And it says someone, not some company or some organization. A purchase decision is made by a person, sometimes a small group of people, but always people. Even if you sell to hospitals or universities or churches or governments, there's a person making the buying decision, and you need to know who that person is, or at least what their title is. They may do it in concert with many others, or at the recommendation of others, or with the input of others. So you need to know them too, but there are always people involved. The United States automobile industry used to think that men made all the purchasing decisions when it came to buying cars. So they targeted their advertising about motors and horsepower and other things that they felt would appeal to men. At some point, they realized that women were involved as well. That's when they started putting mirrors and lights in the passenger sun visors, along with other changes to appeal to women, and then that affected their advertising too. So you have to learn who makes the purchasing decision, who is your buyer, who could become a customer. Finally, sales is a process. There are stages in that process, and there are things you do differently depending on the stage the potential customer is at. It's a dance. It's been said that Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire did, but she did it backwards and in high heels. It's a dance because there's people involved, and also because there are predictable steps or stages. Before we get into the exact stages of the customer journey, we have to know who could be a customer. The description of the customer is called a persona. It includes who could become a customer, and why do they buy, and how do they buy, how can you reach them. All these insights about your customers are written up in a document called a persona. And a persona is a filter. It takes all the people in the world and says these are the only ones we care about selling to. And these are the ones that we want to understand the buyer's journey. Now let's take a look at a typical journey. I'm going to ask you to think of the last time you bought a large item, like a computer or a car. These stages work for almost all purchases, but some happen so quickly that it's hard to notice. The first stage is what I call clueless. It doesn't mean that you're stupid or that your potential customers are stupid. It just means they're not paying attention to you. You're not on their radar at all. And then something happens. So looking at the car situation, most of us drive cars all the time, and yet we're not paying attention to buying a new car until something happens. Maybe it's some noise under the engine that just we don't want to deal with anymore. Maybe the kids go to college and you need to trade in the minivan and get a sports car. Maybe you see something on the road or in a magazine or online about a new kind of car that you're interested in. And when that happens, you move to the next stage. Now you're curious. You're not ready to buy, but you're paying attention. You're looking around, you're thinking about it. And then something happens that moves you to the next stage, which is serious. Now you've got a budget. You're looking at deals. You've narrowed down your focus to the kinds of 2 or 3 different options that you might want. And you're looking for where you can get the best deal. And then, boom, you're sold. It's important to know these stages in your buyer's journey because as a seller, you will do different things depending on the stage that the customer is at. Again, the car example. Let's say you're curious, but you're not serious. And you go down to the dealer to take a test drive. You just want to feel what it's like. So you go to the dealer, they say, hey, today, if you sign this piece of paper, they come out with a form. If you sign this today, I'll take it to my sales manager. You can go home in this baby. You're probably going to leave, and they have lost that sale because you weren't ready to make that sale. But on the other hand, if you are serious and you are ready to make the sale and they don't come out with a deal, they've lost that sale as well. So it's the same thing, but done at the right time that makes the difference. So you have to know what to do based on the stage that the customer is at. Generally, the things we do at the front end of the buyer's journey are called marketing. They're involved in educating the customer, getting them to be curious, to answer some of their questions. And the things we do at the back end are more called sales, putting together a proposal, a quote, whatever is required for that particular buyer. And to do that, you have to know what stage they're at. Of course, there may be many sub-stages in this, depending, again, on how your customers buy. So, for example, with enterprise software, there's typically a demo involved at some point. The thing you want to know is when should that demo be done and who should be involved and how do you do it at the right stage. Sometimes there's a request for proposals and you have to put together a proposal or a quote. Again, these are different sub-stages depending on how your customers buy. And to do it at the right stage, you have to know how they indicate what stage they're at. Usually this is shown by things they do, things they don't do, questions they ask, people they have in the meeting, and response to questions that you ask about their timetable, their budget, their needs, etc. To customize this for your situation, you need to know how they indicate what stage they're at and what you do based on that. Once you have that documented, and once you have the stages well defined and you've documented how to identify each stage and what to do differently, you have systemized your sales process. You can then use that to train others so that each person in your organization who does sales or who does any part of the sales process can do it consistently, systematically, repeatedly, and scalably. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. And here are some other ways that I might be helpful.